Hello, I'm Wendy and I'm here on behalf of Anxiety UK to talk to you a little bit about compassion focused therapy, CFT for short. So before I start, I've got a few notes just as a prompt to remind me to cover a few things, and I just want to say a little bit about Anxiety UK. So Anxiety UK is a UK national-wide charity that offers support to people who are suffering with anxiety. Their helpline is 03444 775 774. They're offering an extended service for support at the moment during this period, and the office hours are 9:30 to 10. So that's 9:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. weekdays, and on the weekends 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. They also have an email, support at anxietyuk.org.uk. And for anyone who's seeking longer term support, they offer therapy and membership services, and you'll find more information on the website. And from May onwards, we're also going to be offering CFT as an option. So I'm going to talk about CFT, compassion focused therapy. It's an approach that was developed by Professor Paul Gilbert, and so I'm mostly going to be sharing his work with you today, and we're also going to do a few exercises together. So let's think about the words to begin with. What does compassion mean? What does self-compassion mean? Sometimes it's helpful to think about language because it identifies potential misunderstandings. Because a common misconception is that it's about feeling a bit sorry for yourself, maybe a bit about self-pity, maybe it's a bit too hearts and flowers. But actually there's evidence to show that compassion is really useful for our well-being. I'm going to read a definition. So it's commonly defined as a sensitivity to the suffering of self and others, with a commitment to try and alleviate and prevent it. So that's about becoming aware of suffering, actually turning towards it rather than away from it, rather than trying to avoid it. We're just acknowledging that perhaps we're suffering at the moment, or other people are suffering at the moment. And then, where possible, taking action to try and relieve it. So Paul Gilbert talks about elements such as courage and wisdom. So if we think of kind of examples, example that comes to mind is people in the NHS and other people in support roles who are working compassionately to care for people to the extent of putting themselves at potential risk, and that takes courage. The wisdom side of it is paying attention to things like having the equipment that they need. So it's not about taking unnecessary risks, it's about being aware of what you're doing. So for the general public, a typical example would be the directive to keep physical distance, because current knowledge tells us that that's the safest thing to do, to keep ourselves safe and to keep other people safe. So by doing so, we're acting wisely. Okay. I want to talk a bit about that term though, because physical distance to me brings up a kind of feeling, an image of isolation, even potentially loneliness. Paul Gilbert offers an alternative phrase which I like better, and he refers to safe relating So that feels better to me somehow. What I'm aiming to do in this climate is to relate safely, safely relating. See what you think about it. So, safety is obviously an important thing, as is relating. So let's talk about relating first, because you'll probably, if you're watching any media, TV, radio, online, have come across various conversations about connecting, staying connected with other people, and how we can do that. And I think that's because connecting with others, being in relationship with people, is something that's really important to us. As human beings, it's something that that matters, even though relationships can be tricky sometimes. So it's not always plain sailing. But as human beings, we are basically social animals, and we need other people. So there's a concept in CFT that's about recognizing our common humanity, that we're all in it together, that we share a common humanity. And part of that, unfortunately, is sometimes suffering. Okay, so yes, let's just go on to safety. So I want to talk a bit about safety in terms of therapy. This is a common theme that comes up sometimes, where people who maybe have been through some difficult times, maybe feeling anxious, maybe experienced some trauma, don't feel safe. It's a lack of feeling safe. And psychology provides us with some information about this. So in psychology, there's this idea of parts of the brain being an old part of the brain and a new part of the brain. The new part of the brain is the more thinking side. The old part of the brain is a primitive, more instinctual part of the brain. So the instinctual part of the brain is there actually to keep us safe, and it's designed to react quickly before we have time to think. So this is where you may have come across this idea before. If we had a tiger in the room with us, the old instinctual part of our brain would take over to try and keep us safe, and it would send messages to our automatic nervous system. You may have experienced kind of physical feelings like tense muscles, or feeling your heart beating faster, and that's a physiological response to threat. Emotions go with it. Could be anxiety, fear, even anger. So there's a whole range of a kind of knock-on effect. And even when there isn't a tiger physically there in the room, our bodies respond as if there is. So our bodies respond to perception of a threat. And that's not our fault. So part of the whole thing is recognizing draws on various psychologies, including CBT and also some Buddhist philosophy. So what happens sometimes is, even though the immediate threat or danger is gone, our thinking minds still focus on it and start maybe replaying it or imagining what might have happened or what might go wrong. Particularly when life is kind of feeling a bit uncertain. So during this times, it would be very normal to be feeling anxious. or feed. So, but the problem with that is the mind just then keeps stuck in a sleep. So you feel anxious, send the body signal that there's danger, keep on feeling anxious. And it's a vicious cycle. The good news is that it's possible to actually give our bodies different signals in order to help calm down the automatic nervous system. So one example would be a breathing exercise. So that's what I'm going to share with you next. So I'm just going to get comfortable, and I invite you to do the same. And just do this as far as you feel comfortable, so you can stop any time. So just getting settled myself. So just make sure you're sitting in a comfortable position, and you can sit with your legs and arms uncrossed, and sitting with a erect spine as far as possible. So sitting with your back straight, your neck and your head just resting at the top of your spine. So this isn't going to be a relaxation exercise, but we are going to be focusing on maybe slowing and deepening the breath a little bit. So it's important to be comfortable. And you can close your eyes if you wish, or you can just take a soft focus and you've got nothing in particular. So just settling down into this and beginning by noticing your breath. Breathing in through your nostrils and out through your nostrils, if that's comfortable for you. So just beginning by noticing your breath as you breathe in and breathe out. So just breathing in and breathing out. And then if you can, begin to just gradually, slowly and softly slow the next breath down just a little bit. And see if you can deepen your breath a little bit. And the way to do this is to do some belly breaths. So breathing down into your belly, into your diaphragm. So as you breathe in, breathe right down into your belly and out again. If this is new to you, a useful way to do it is to just rest your hands on your belly, your fingertips touching, and then you can feel your body move as you breathe in and out. So just doing this for a few moments, breathing in, breathing out. Just let everything settle down. And then we're going to do a count. I'm going to count the breath. Now, Olga will use as a count of 5, but if that's too long for you, that's okay. The main aim is for your in-breath and your out-breath to be the same as each other. And you just really want to settle into your own natural rhythm. So just breathing at your own pace. I'm going to begin talking you through it, and then I'm going to go quiet and we'll just do it for about a minute or so together in silence. So breathing in, 1, 2, 3. Out, 1, 2, 3. Breathing in, 2, 3. Breathing out, 2, 3. I'm just kind of doing that for a few moments. Breathing in, 2, 3. Breathing out, 2, 3. And see if you can notice there's a pause in between. So there's a pause at the end of the in-breath and a pause at the end of the out-breath. Okay, so breathing in, 2, 3, pause. Breathing out, 2, 3, pause. And now, if you can, just extending that out a bit to a count of 5. But if that doesn't work for you, just do it at your own pace. Okay, so breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, pause. Breathing out, 2, 3, 4, 5, pause. Breathing in 2, 3, 4, 5, pause. 2, 3, 4, 5, pause. And just carry on doing that in your own time. I'll let you know when it's time to continue. So we're just going to continue for a few more minutes and just invite you now to just extend your attention to the rest of your body. Just becoming aware of your body sitting wherever you are. And see if you can just notice a connection between your body and the surface beneath you. And allow a sense of being supported, of being settled. So we're just inviting the body and the mind and the heart just to slow down a little bit more, to soften, and to be grounded in the body. So let everything rest. Just taking this moment for rest. Maybe imagine the body connected to the earth below to help a sense of being grounded. So just continue to breathe, continue with this idea of being settling down, soothing, grounding. And if you find your mind's been wandering at all, that's okay. That's just what minds do. So anytime that happens, we just come back to where we are, continue breathing. So as we come to the end of this particular practice, just take a moment to notice how you found that. I am going to invite questions in a little while, but I'm just going to continue talking for a bit longer. So we've been talking about compassion, and there's various types of compassion. We can think of it in terms of compassion to others, compassion from others, and self-compassion, compassion from and to ourselves. So what we've just been doing was could be considered an exercise in compassion to ourselves. And there are other ways we can offer compassion to ourselves, which is particularly important when times are difficult. So we can pause and think, how are we looking after ourselves? How are we being compassionate? And taking a holistic view, so as our minds, our hearts, our bodies. How are we looking after our bodies? Are we giving it nourishing food as far as we're able to? In terms of our minds, what I've found, and obviously what people like Paul Gilbert have found, is some people have a very strong internal judge, and particularly sometimes people who experience anxiety or have experienced things like trauma might also experience an internal critic where they beat themselves up. It can even be shame attached to some things. So there's lots of difficult emotions and hard thoughts, and these don't serve us well. So part of CFT is working with this internal critic to see if we can help it to change a little bit. So we're not denying it, but we're kind of first of all noticing it's there. So we're noticing how we talk to ourselves. What kinds of things do you say to yourself when you're telling yourself off? I've certainly heard people say things like, oh, that was such a stupid thing to do, I'm an idiot. That kind of thing. Or I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve to be helped. There's so many harsh words that we use on ourselves sometimes. And that leads to a downward spiral as well. So part of that is about beginning to change the language we use. And one of the good things that we know now is that the brain is flexible. The brain can carry on developing and growing, so we can carry on learning. And if we practice something, like a new activity, whether it's a breathing exercise or going for a jog or learn to cook, whatever it is, with practice, the brain can learn something new. So we can learn new ways of being, new patterns. And obviously it takes practice. So regularly and forming the habits is really what makes them useful. I think what I'll do now is a little exercise called a safe place or safe space, which is another CFT exercise, maybe about 5 minutes or so. So if you'd like to get comfortable again, and just again make sure you're sitting with your feet and arms uncrossed, sitting in kind of position. When you're comfortable doing so, just let your eyes close. Okay, so just connecting with your breath again for a few moments, and noticing your breath as you breathe in and breathe out. And I'm going to invite you to imagine a safe place. Now this can be a place totally of your imagination. And imagination, imagery, is something that's used a lot in CFT. You don't have to be good at making pictures in your mind. Okay, so it can be a very vague image, or if you're not someone who works with images, it could be a sensation or some words. So it's whatever works for you. So just, and it does work best with your eyes closed if you're comfortable doing that. So just letting yourself imagine now that you're standing in front of your safe place. I'm going to give you some suggestions. It could be a building, or it could be indoors, outdoors, it could be anywhere. If it's somewhere that you know, just be careful to choose somewhere that is somewhere that you feel safe and secure, that doesn't have any kind of other memories attached to it for you. Okay, so just imagine in front of you there's this safe place, and just let it begin to take shape. So what does it look like? Is it big or small? Can you see around it? What materials is it made of? Is it wood, stone, metal, something else altogether. It could be made of branches and leaves. And what's the air around you feel like? Is it just how you like it? The feel of the air. Not too warm, not too cold. What colour is this space? And now I'm inviting you to imagine whether there's an entrance or a doorway or a door. And just picture what that looks like. And then step through into a safe space. And now just taking your time to look around inside. Does it have walls? Does it have windows? What's above you? What's below you? Maybe you can hear sounds, maybe the sounds of birds, if that's something that brings you calm. Or maybe a sense, smells. Or maybe you can imagine touching the surfaces. As you look around, you see a seat. And this seat is there just for you. So it's just how you like the seat to be. And you walk over to it and sit down, and it takes all your weight. And you know that you're in this safe place where you can just be yourself. There's no one else here right now, only you. So just for the next few moments, as you breathe in, breathing in a sense of this space, a sense of safety and calm, and whatever it is that you need right now, just breathing it in, breathing it out. So giving yourself permission to be in this space, and knowing that this is somewhere you can come back to anytime you choose. So just taking a few more breaths in this space, and then it's time to go. So just taking your leave, leaving the space, coming back to where you're sitting, to the room that you're sitting in. Okay. Would anyone like to say anything? Does anyone have any comments or any questions? I'm just looking at the screen for a moment in case there's anything there. So if anyone would like to say how they found any of those exercises or has more questions for them. So the sound's been on my computer. I'm just going to excuse me. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on talking, but do type in the chat box if you've got anything to say. Again, it could be a comment on how you found an activity or a question. I just wanted to give you a bit of information about compassion focused therapy and a few tasters, if you like. A big part of it is about education. So it's about understanding, this understanding and knowledge or power, if you like. That goes back to wisdom, knowing. So just a reminder about the definition of compassion. It's a sensitivity to a suffering, so we can acknowledge and become aware when we're suffering, when someone else is suffering, and we can respond appropriately. We can think about what a compassionate response might be, either now or in the future. And we just do the best we can to take care of ourselves and take care of other people around us. And to think, what is a compassionate response in this situation, even if we're feeling anxious or angry or afraid. It's not denying those feelings, and it's okay to share those feelings, but it's about not being overcome by them, not being overwhelmed by them, just acknowledging that we're suffering. And then we can make a decision as to what would be compassionate action to take to look after ourselves in that situation. So I'll just finish with another short practice, I think. So I was talking before about the flow of compassion. So you might remember it's a flow of compassion to others, to ourselves, and receiving compassion. So this is just a little practice. It'll take a few minutes. And again, just go with it as far as you're comfortable. So just settle back into your posture and your breath for a few moments. You're just being back in touch with that soothing rhythm. So the breathing we were doing is called a soothing rhythm breath. Because that's what we're doing. We're using the breath to soothe us, and we'll find our own natural rhythm. And just settle back into that for a few moments. Or if you wish, you close your eyes. And I'm just going to offer you a few words. I'm going to say them out loud, and you can say them inside your mind if you wish to. So starting by offering compassion to ourselves. A compassionate phrase. May I be well. May I be well. May I be well. And when offering compassion to someone else, I might offer it to you. You might offer it to some people who are close to you, family or friends or neighbours, someone in your life that you're fond of. May you be well. May you be well. May you be well. And we can extend that to include our neighbourhood, our community, or the towns and city we live in, the country we live in. So may you be well. And you can, if you like, you can choose to extend that even further. We could extend it to the whole planet, to all the creatures and plants and life on the planet. May all be well. So if you need some further support, there will be further sessions being offered, like these webinars by Untitled UK. You can also contact Untitled UK via the website or the telephone line, There's some information in the chat box providing the phone number and the website. So there's various ways that you can get in touch if you need to. And I'm going to end shortly, but I'm just going to pause and see if anyone else has got any comments or questions before I do. Okay, doesn't look like anyone has anything they need to say. Just a reminder that Untitled UK will be running some CFD sessions. So I hope this gave you a little bit of a flavour. When I'm working with fashion focused therapy, I basically integrate it with the person I'm working with. So I adapt it to the individual need, and you'll find lots of resources online about it as well, such as talks by Paul Gilbert. Okay, I've just seen a question. So Susan's asking, what is the most powerful technique to help with anxiety? I don't think there's one single solution, because people are different. Different things work better for different people. I think that's why it's useful to work with a professional, because they can support you through a process and also tailor the process to you, rather than just kind of following a kind of a standard line. Obviously, health books are helpful as well, but I think working with someone tailored to you is particularly useful, because people have different needs and they struggle with different things. So I'm sorry if I can't give you a single thing, but it's a bit like there's no magic pill, but lots of small steps together build up and make a difference. And that's a common feeling actually in the therapy, is it's about taking the small steps together to make a difference. But having said that, just the breath is immensely powerful. So even if you were just to do a short breathing exercise daily, you might find that helps. It's something that I do, and certainly during this period, I've been meditating quite a bit. And again, I know not everyone finds it easy, but you can just do a few minutes at a time. Okay. So a lot of things are about just taking small steps, a bit at a time. What can I do now? What do I need now? What is the most compassionate response I can do just now? Okay, thank you.